Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP. I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Rob.
Hello.
And Christian.
What up?
And Anna.
Good evening.
And Phil.
What's going on? I just want to start the show with a addendum / correction from last week. Last week I said one of my most disappointing toys of 2022 was Jazz because he had some issues. And granted, I got this toy in 2023, but she came out in 2022. I'm going to amend my comment to say that this car is the worst alt mode I've ever seen. I honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen the worst alt mode. This is Minerva. This is the Walgreens exclusive Minerva that I bought from a friend like a month back, but finally was able to pick it up from him this past weekend. And the bot mode's fun and cool and kind of neat. And then you turn it into this just horrendous thing. And like I've seen Transformers that have like worse alt modes because they're just lousy Transformers. Like, no, this has all the panels that line up and it looks like fairly like streamlined. No, someone designed this to look this bad. Like they purposely made this toy look terrible. So yes, Minerva / Alita 1 is my most disappointing toy of 2022.
I'm going to jump in real fast because Christian usually only gives me that look. And I'm jealous.
Sorry, I'm playing the field now.
I say outlandish things.
First, what Jazz are you talking about that came out last year that was disappointing?
Oh, my Shattered Glass Jazz. His Decepticon symbol is not centered, so that's a personal thing.
Phil, there wasn't a Shattered Glass Jazz. Who are you actually talking about?
I'm sorry, Soundwave. What are you talking about? I have Jazz sitting in front of me. I apologize. Soundwave.
That's a very different...
I have Studio Series Jazz sitting in front of me because I was messing around with them the other day.
That's all the more reason you shouldn't have said Jazz.
I was like
literally the toy sitting in front of you.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Studio Series Jazz is sitting in front of me. That's why I said Jazz.
All right, man.
Right, and Jazz is a music. Soundwave is a music character. So it all makes sense cognitively.
Yes. And Catherine, that's fine. Catherine, you can love that Minerva. That's fine. You like what you like. I will hate what I hate. And I hate her alt mode.
That's fair. Like,
fair
I
assessment.
can't say anything to that because that's just who I am, right? I'm usually the one who shows up and says, oh, you guys like this thing? It's a poop sandwich. Ew.
Yeah.
And at this time, I'm the opposite because I actually like that car mode because it's different. It's a legitimate car mode that's actually made of most of a woman character. Like, she's not a shell former. She's actually using her body to make the alt mode, which is nice. And then it's a different looking car than other cars. It does not actually look like Minerva. It looks like comic book Minerva, who is a one and done character that we'll never see again. But,
Is it a repaint of Alita 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Slight remold.
Alita would be a pre-paint because that's what Minerva looks like in Nuts and Bolts, where it's called Treads and Circuits. There we go. Wreckers, Treads and Circuits. Christian's favorite Wreckers comic.
I gagged involuntarily about that. That's cool.
So yeah, that's how I just want to start off the evening and just say Minerva equals trash.
I mean, that's completely fair because I said in the chat when you guys were discussing best and worst that I think my biggest disappointment is actually Star Saber. that is the thing that has let me down the most last year. And it was something that I had fun opening. It was something that was really hyped and it was fun to mess with, but geez, I can't accept it into my collection. It needs to go away.
Wow. I mean, those of us who were on last week, Lucas was the only one who included him in his top 5. He was my honorable mention, but he was in Lucas's top 5.
Well, again, for me, outside of the shoulders, right, which I understand for Anna, that's an unforgivable sin to have shoulders like that. But otherwise, like, I think it's a very solid figure, and like the ratchets and all that, like the QC. I realize some people are having QC issues with the chrome as far as like the way he's packaged and whatever, but there's been some other Japanese characters where it's like the QC on it has not been great, and so that's where I don't know. He lived up to my expectations, I suppose. I mean, you always worry about that kind of stuff when you're backing these like HasLabs 18 months ahead of time, that it will, show up and be okay. But I am curious though, there was a note about them doing another run, I guess, for people that had QC issues, and I'm curious how much truth there actually is to that.
That's the rumor, is that they're going to do a whole nother run with all the QC issues fixed, and they don't want to dilute the aftermarket. And that's why if you want an exchange, you have to send the old one back, and they're going to destroy them, presumably. That's the rumor mill. Is it true? Is it hogwash?
I think it's pretty believable.
And that's what, oh crap. I forget which reviewer it was, but he's had like a month-long or more saga with Hasbro of getting it, and they did tell him, hey, if you send this back, we will send you another one when we get it. We don't know when that will be. And then after that, this rumor came out that someone talked to someone and got like this extra details about it. So like it fit with what he was already telling us, like, from his emails directly from customer support. It fed into that narrative, but...
Well, the thing where I think that they could do another run or whatever additional is that it sounds like it's been more of a debacle with the Zavi stuff from like Europe.
Oh yeah.
And so
maybe
like,
that's why the other run is happening.
Yeah, that's
as
where
opposed
I wonder,
to the QC thing. Maybe it's that.
Yeah, because like
tack on some QC orders while they're at it.
Yep.
Honestly,
exactly.
I don't feel like again, like I know that some people, some of their chrome and whatever, and it's unfortunate, and I think some people, I'm sure, probably have a little QC niggles here and there, but that Zavi thing was pretty big as far as like it seemed like there's a lot of people that were impacted with that in Europe, like a lot of people in Ireland and whatever. So I'm sure that they probably wanted, because I can't imagine. I mean, just if I were to back a HasLab, and wait 18 months and then get my order canceled after 18 months, I would be just absolutely livid about it, because especially considering all these HasLabs, they, you have to pay a premium if you want it after the fact. So it's like, if one of those people had to go out and buy it on the secondary market, like, they're having to pay pretty premium. So
let's be real. You're paying a premium even at market. Aftermarket's just,
right.
As Paul would say, the snooze tax.
I would be more willing to believe that the new run is for that, and whatever's left over for the MOQ is QC coverage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, to me, this is like a 50-50 chance that this is accurate, because there's so many times where something like this will come out and people like want to believe it, because it's just wishful thinking. Like all the rumors that there was going to be a remold of Siege Starscream to fix the issue where the robot chest / jet back would stay on better. No, that never happened. We never got that. But that was like widely reported, and people believed it was going to be the case.
Does it not stay on well now?
It pops off fairly easily. There was talk there was going to be a metal bar put through it. a metal rod versus just the plastic holding it on.
All right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that was almost an entirely constructed rumor. Like, it was
Right.
people be like, it will be fixed. This is a
Yeah.
mistake.
Right.
And it wasn't a mistake. It's just a loose piece on a Transformers toy, which is pretty common.
Yeah. But
It
people,
happened. It
yeah,
doesn't
people,
really ruin the figures.
no.
I mean,
But people wanted it to be real, so it got spread
Yeah.
and told as if it was truth.
I mean, I will say just in general, like some of the HasLab ones, you know, if I get a figure with some QC issues, a lot of times, you know, you can run down to the store and return it and exchange it, you know, if it doesn't meet, you know, whatever standard, if you have some kind of issue. Whereas these HasLabs, I mean, you know, if you only get one, like, you know, usually I'm only getting one myself, or, you know, or even if you get multiples, like, it's you know, if you get a bunch of QC issues, it's like, what are you gonna do? So
That's not new if you've been into Transformers for a while. Like, we had over a decade of Fun Pub screwing up, you know, random exclusives. I mean, when you make, you know, by the end there, they were making over 15 figures or 20 figures a year between BotCon and the club stuff. You make that many, there's going to be a couple of widespread issues, but, you know, they were like, oh, the hoist or whatever it was is misassembled, you know, the Generations Cup repaint they did. It's like, well, sorry, you know, and oh, that one was supposed to have like glow in the dark paint. Sorry. Oh, Leozak's wings, that paint wasn't supposed to go over there. Sorry. Like, there was just, it happens. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying it sucks, and it's annoying that they don't make extras for some of that, and they're not willing to kind of stand behind some of their stuff. Like, I don't know about y'all. It's an old gripe at this point, right? But like, Unicron's maw is the wrong color. You know, they didn't make replacement parts and send them out, or a cover or something. You know, they didn't do anything. Just like, nah, because what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
well,
Yeah,
that
there's
is
nothing
one
to
thing
an
that's
example,
just
too.
I feel like is crazy with third party that they do that, where if there's a widespread issue for whatever reason that or even if there's not, like a lot of times they just have replacement parts from, you know, extra figures. But it's like if you try to get your masterpiece figure like replaced, I mean, you're not necessarily screwed. Like a lot of times that you know, like wherever you bought it from, like they may have some, like they may just offer good customer service where they're like, oh yeah, you know, we've got, you know, some damaged one here, we'll send you a leg or whatever kind of thing. But
If you buy from smaller sellers, though, like, somebody's getting screwed.
right,
I had bought MP Nightbird from TFSClub.com. I've bought several Transformers from there. And I got the Nightbird, and I was just sitting down the first time to transform it, and I just went, and poof, the leg just came off in my hand. You know, no pressure or anything. And you could see when you looked at it, it's like, oh, air got into the hip, you know, where it was molded, so it was just waiting to break, right? And he didn't know what to do. He's like, you know, he was just kind of shrugging. He was like, you know, kind of did that thing of, you know, like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I want my toy that's not broken at the hip, you know. And I understand it puts him in a difficult spot, you know, because he's not like Big Bad that, you know, eats loss like that.
right.
But, you know, Takara gives you no recourse, and it's one of those. Some would say, well, as the buyer, you kind of know some of that stuff happens, and you take on the risk. Where others would say, the retailer knows if they want to stock that product, that they're taking on the risk, serve the customer. And, you know, I feel if certain people were on the show tonight that are part of the cast, they would have a really strong opinion on this. Where, you know, I understand both sides of it, but consumer's always right? But either way, like I think I ended up paying shipping, and he sent me a new one, and I sent him the old one back so that he could use it for parts if somebody else broke. That's where we ended up, you know. So like, we came to something, but at the end of the day, he probably, you know, just ate the loss on that figure, because you know, I doubt his markup is that insane or anything.
I mean, I would say even with, you know, Chosen Prime and Big Bad Toy Store, that if this stuff happens enough, it's got to really eat into them. And I think that's one of the reasons why third-party companies like Fans Hobby has been, I think, spot on with some of this stuff in terms of them trying to make corrections when there's been errors, especially widespread errors. Because at the end of the day, they're only selling to this small, the smaller shops. So, they can't leave them in a lurch. Otherwise, then, they're, if they lost the Chosen Prime or Big Bad Toy Store, like that's got to be huge for them in terms of percentage of their orders. So, I could see why third party is going to be more accommodating than Hasbro would be, where Hasbro's just like, oh, Hound's neck breaks all the time. Meh, whatever.
Right. Well,
like,
I mean,
they'll give you your money back, and that's like where they sometimes that's like the most you can do with some of those.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, is like a lot of these third party companies, I mean, a lot of them are all making similar characters, right? And so it's like, oh, I could buy from X Transbots, or I could buy from Fans Toys, for the like the Perceptor or whatever that you guys were talking about before, right? And so if one of the figures has QC issues and the other one doesn't, it's like, all right, this makes my decision easy. It's like, which one am I gonna buy, the one that breaks or the one that doesn't? So it's like, if they're not going to support that, those products, it's like they kind of have that competition, whereas somewhat the Takara and Hasbro, don't really have, I mean, I guess they have competition, but it's not the same.
They just don't care because they own it.
Right.
Yeah, they for all intents and purposes, they have monopoly on the brand.
Right.
Which is how brands work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's like, darn Disney for having a monopoly on Mickey Mouse. So, anyway. But, all right, so tonight, our topic, I guess, is the top Transformers news of 2022. Kind of like, what's our favorite, kind of announcements that occurred, or news. Just, it really can be kind of anything. Just kind of wrapping up after we did our top figures of 2022, kind of what was some of our favorite media announcements, whatever it may be, or even figure announcements and such too. So, but I was thinking, when you were talking, Anna, before about treads and circuits, I don't know, do we think that that's what pushed, Hasbro over the edge with, canceling the license for IDW? I know that was a big piece of news.
That news came around the same time that comic came out, so I don't think it could have caused it.
I'm just saying.
I will go ahead and say that
you're right. That's a big news,
losing
though.
the license was one of my favorite newses of last year.
Oh,
I feel like
favorite.
that's unfair.
Oh.
Have you read anything lately?
Oh God, no.
Horrible.
But
Horrible. They needed to do something new with it.
IDW has done a lot of awesome stuff and a lot of awesome Transformers fiction.
They have.
I feel like Hasbro meddling is what made it bad. And so if Hasbro continues to meddle,
do too.
Whoever gets it next, it's still going to be bad. If Hasbro says, oh, hey, we're just going to let creators do their thing every now and again, might be like, yo, put this new toy like in a background shot or make him, half an appearance or whatever, type of thing. More hands off, then I think has a good chance to be good.
We read a bunch, maybe not we all, but I've read a bunch of interviews with IDW executive and writers that said Hasbro really wasn't that hands-on with them. Definitely not in the last phase. But like they did the Dark Cybertron thing, and that was pretty much it as far as they were like, hey, can you do this?
Crossover stuff too.
Yes, that's the one I meant, not Dark Cybertron.
Yeah, well, Combiner Wars, Titans Return, and a little bit with Dark Cybertron. Like, I think G-Axis looked the way he did in the comic book because they had the toy coming out of him.
And that was when they were doing the pack-in, so that made some sense.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was too obtrusive. Combiner Wars, but then the third phase or whatever.
Is that the reboot, the latest?
Yeah, the reboot stuff. It seems like they weren't that involved, and IDW using those models was because they had, the CAD files or whatever on hand, similar to how the Netflix show used them.
I still don't think those comics were actually bad. I still think you guys are just comparing it to something you liked so much that you couldn't possibly be happy with it.
Isn't that how good and bad works? It's comparative based on previous and potentially future work. So if you know it could always be here,
In
and
the
what
most
comes out is down here,
subjective
that's
way
literally-
possible, yes. If you
There you go.
completely remove any degree of objectivity, then sure,
Okay.
yes.
Can I give
then
a
what is
better
good?
example?
What is a good
of favorite
story?
news? Okay, so
Good
that's a
news?
really negative example. I don't want to.
Whoa, no. I want to stay on this note because I agree with Christian.
I don't
This
wanna
was going to
stay
be
on
the thing I was going to mention tonight. So
Ooh.
yeah, I've got a backup one, but this was going to be the thing I brought up. I was actually kind of surprised that someone else did bring it up.
I think it's
And-
potentially some of the worst news just because we were finally getting some more. We were getting Transformers fiction that was more focused on culture than it was on war and fighting. And that was interesting to me. And we got some of that weaved into the end of the first IDW run. You have to remember there's tons of comics before Lost Light and all that good stuff that people like that was messy, right, at best. So I think that we were at a very nice point where we were finally getting a Transformers story that spent, I think, upwards of like 30 issues exploring the culture before it actually got to the war, which was cool to me. Like, I was so happy for that. And I'm afraid we're going to overcorrect. That's why I think it's bad news. Because I'm afraid what they're going to do is they're going to overcorrect, and the next comic run is going to be just explosion sounds and
It's going to be
death
all
and-
hell Megatron 2.0.
See,
Well-
and I have no problem at all with writers exploring Transformers culture and Cybertronian culture and all that. What I had a problem with the most, and what most things I read that had a problem with the most recent IDW storyline, was pacing.
And as long as you say the word pacing, I'm okay with that, because the pacing was very slow.
Yes.
It was very slow.
Yes. And so I get it. The IDW books before that, the Lost Light stuff, may have had some of those issues. I was reading those more in graphic novel format. So I was reading like 6 issues at a time. But every time I tried to pick up that book, or every time I was reading a review of it, see if it got better, it just felt like, oh my God, nothing happened. I remember reading a review of Transformers number 25, and they're like, this is now the start of what this has all been building up to. I'm like, wait, you needed 2 years to build up to this before you really got the ball rolling? Like, Jesus Christ, man. That's ludicrous. I mean, what you're talking about, what are the comic books? Like $3.50, $4 a pop? How much was the cover price?
$4.99.
Yeah.
$4.99. So 25 issues. So $125 that you have spent for the story to get going. Think about that. That's a year of Netflix. Well, maybe not a year. That's 6 months of Netflix.
So
that
I would
is
also argue IDW Phase 2, the entirety of it was pretty much like not war. Like, Robots in Disguise, it was post-war Cybertron and them rebuilding things. So, like, I don't see how you could say, oh, well, like in Lost Light, I mean, it wasn't war. Like, yeah, they'd always get into weird hijinks.
It was an adventure comic.
Yeah, it was
But here's
more
the
of an
thing, like,
adventure type
it
of
led
thing,
up.
So.
Like, I really think what we got as far as IDW 3.0 or whatever the hell we're calling it, the reboot, I think what we got followed from what we had and what they thought people liked. They thought people liked the more cultural, the more reflective, so they made more of it. And it didn't work out because people didn't want to reboot.
Well, I think the other... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Lucas.
Well, I was gonna say the other issue, besides the slow story is I mean, to be honest, the art was not very good. Like, I mean, and we were very spoiled with the artists that we got, between, Casey Collier and Alex Milne and, Sarah DePietri and like some, just on down the line, Andrew Griffith.
Joanna LaFuente.
So it's like, you can name off like a half a dozen, artists that were just absolutely fantastic. And then, the newer guys, it just wasn't the same level of quality.
No. And to me, when I look at this, and Lucas, I'm sure you can appreciate this. 2 days ago was what's referred to as Black Monday in the NFL. And it's the Monday after the regular season ends, and coaches get fired and heads roll, and people lose their jobs. And that happened with my favorite football team, the Chicago Bears, last January. And that was awesome. And I have similar feelings about that as I do to IDW losing the license, which is like, you lost me. You lost me as a fan. You turned me into someone who was rooting for you, into someone who was rooting for you to lose your job. And that's not a good thing. And that doesn't mean that they were always bad. It doesn't mean that they didn't have any good things that they did. It's just like, man, you had your time. You did some things with that time that were good. And then just, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately with IDW was no es bueno.
I mean, to be honest, though, IDW had this license for how many years was it total? It was like
18
years.
Million.
Huh? How many?
18.
18 years. And for the majority of that, it was a continuing, storyline. So the fact that they had one universe for so many years, and then they did the reboot. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the DC when they did the New 52 or whatever it was when they did that reboot, and then they've rebooted it again. Like after, I feel like it's kind of like that where it's like, oh well, that didn't work, and let's reboot it once more. So
that's a fair point. Reboots are risky. Like no matter what, like if people are happy and then you reboot, you're taking a pretty big risk. And I think that's what they did there. I think they had to. I think they, that universe ended because Hasbro wanted it to end. And I think it was a risky proposition and it didn't work.
Well, and I think, again, this is why I think this sports team thing is a decent analogy, because this is not like a TV show where, all right, a TV show doesn't work, it gets canceled. This is an evergreen property. And so you just turn over who the editors and the creators are. You change who the decision makers are in this, and the franchise itself continues to roll on.
So how long is the drought going to be? How long is it going to be before we have Transformers comics again?
I am honestly surprised we have not heard anything yet.
I am too, but here we are. We haven't heard a darn thing. I have my personal theory that the new company is going to release their first comics around the same time as Beasttown USA, so they can be like, look, tie-in comic. This is a side story about that time the Razor bought a pizza.
It's 2023, so next year's 2024. Yeah, yes, we'll get it next year for the 40th anniversary. They'll relaunch the comic and it'll be like 40th anniversary. It's a new company.
But they could already do
have
comics
something
before
by
that.
Free Comic Book Day, like no later than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think there will be a Free Comic Book Day book because of the movie tie-in.
I think there'll be a tie-in. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I really think there'll be a movie tie-in.
And you both might be right. We might get movie verse comic first, and then G1 40th anniversary stuff in 2024. So you both could be right.
I could see an ongoing starting in 2024 and a mini series coming out with the movie. Maybe another mini series coming out to give a side story for Earthspark or something. A couple little mini series here or there just to kind of get their feet wet, and then let the big thing start as part of the anniversary. New comic, everyone dies every 5 minutes.
It'd
that
be nice
kind
to
of
have
stuff.
movie comics again. We haven't had those in 12 years.
I want the movie comics. I like that kind of stuff. The world building of the old movie comics were cool. Even though I don't.
Reign of Starscream is one of my favorite books that IDW did.
Well,
Ron, I think you're right.
Ron in the chat wants to know what you're playing with, Rob.
Yeah, MMC Streetwise. Literally came in today, so sitting here fiddling with it.
There you go.
Trying to figure out the hands.
But I don't know. I'm sure that Nick could probably tell us all about the comics industry and how tough it is, as well. I mean, I think that's a big piece of it is that especially with Transformers these days, it's just it's hard to have an uber successful comic series just in general from anyone, and I think that Marvel and DC now kind of are so big, it's hard to break in like with another brand or property. So
But this is the other thing that I was thinking about why this ties in, especially to the NFL with this story, is because guess what's happening, right? Yeah, like so this past Monday with the NFL was all the teams that were firing their coaches and general managers. And what's happening starting Saturday is all the playoff games starting. So you have like the two ends of the spectrum, the people that are happy that things went bad and they're getting a change, and you have the people that are happy that their team succeeded. And so what do we as Transformers fans have, at least on the comic book side of thing or like the media side of thing? We're hoping for something new to get announced and excited for something new to get announced. Meanwhile, like Marvel fans are like, hey, here's a new Ant-Man trailer. Here's another multi-billion-dollar, movie that's about to come out. And all right, there's stuff to be excited about with that. Like, not just like we are hoping to build on something, but Marvel and some of the and there was like a bunch of trailers released in the tail end of last year. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So all this stuff was just like, we're not just building, but here we are, like showing that we are this we are a champion in media in terms of Disney and Marvel, and we're gonna make you all salivate and cry just from watching a trailer.
This is definitely mixed news because it could turn out really good. Like, we could get a great new comic universe out of this deal. We could literally get something worse. Like, even as much as some of you didn't like the reboot universe, we could get really, really stupid comics. We could just get some pulpy, trashy action comics that never take off and die even faster.
Yeah, sometimes new is good just because it's new and different.
It's not bad. I'm not against new. I'm just nervous about it.
That's why I change my underwear once a week. Sometimes new just feels better.
I just in the different.
Speaking of movie trailers, I guess that's another piece of news as well. We got the trailer drop for Revenge of the what is it again? Beast Town.
Beast Town USA is definitely the official name.
I have no idea. I like forget the actual name of it now because we like refer to it by like Rise of the Bread and Beast Town whatever. Like, is it Rise of the Beast?
It's Rise of the Beast. Anna, which crazy one did you use on me the other day that I just could not?
Oh, it was really odd. I don't think it had any basis in reality. It was like Raisins of the Bread or something. It was really like left field.
Rhythm of
it was Rhythm of the Brutality. It was Rhythm of the Brutality.
What the hell is that?
Where
use context, please.
Letter.
Planet
there
of
was
the
no
Earth.
context.
Written by no one.
There's a fair amount of time that Anna like will throw something out there and we'll be like, all right, what is she talking? Like, we're like Christian and I are trying to decode whatever this message is. It's like, what is Anna talking about?
I said the humor is just way too high level.
It's like the RC that got announced the other day, and you were trying. Christian was trying to figure out like, what the hell is Anna talking about?
What? Was that one even weird? Wasn't it just like, oh, look, it's Energon IC? I mean,
no, you didn't say that. You said
that was where you were talking about Rhythm of Brutality. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
That is there, because she was Rhythm of Brutality RC. Yes, you're right. I remember.
What? Like, which one is she talking? Well, we have so many RCs that get released now that like it's hard. It's hard to figure out like which one you're talking
about at that point. So I was like, what are you talking about? What could you possibly mean?
So far, news for Rise of the Beast has been really positive, right? Like, everybody's been having positive reactions. Rob's face, awesome. So far, people have been having positive reactions and been on the show to talk about the movie. Rob hasn't been on the show to talk about the movie yet, and here we go. Take it away, Rob. Great.
For those of
We
you
really
just
value your
listening
input.
and not watching, Rob stuck his tongue out and made a farting noise.
I mean,
so
it looks like
personally,
typical Bay trash. I mean, I know it's not directed by Bay or whatever, but I mean, fool me 7 times, you know what I mean, or whatever. It's if it comes out and it's cool. But I mean, and like there were some leaks about the plot that came out, and it sounded just like typical nonsense of how do we get to another action scene. It sounded and looked like they're doing the whole what, this car transforms again, which like shut up. It's like, oh, we're gonna get a Spider-Man origin again, a Batman origin again. Like, Jesus Christ, we're past that. Like, let's move along. And the lack of Predacons of any Predacons, maybe they're doing Viacons or whatever. I don't care. It's not no evil beasties that I'm aware of. Maybe it's a real good kept secret or whatever, and they're not doing any toys for it or whatever. I don't know. There was nothing interesting in there in the slightest. So maybe I'll watch it at some point. It was okay. And like, I didn't hate Bumblebee. That's the most I can say. It was fine. It was entertaining enough. I didn't feel the need to watch it a second time. But like, I didn't hate it. It wasn't like whatever the last real Bay movie was where like I waited to download it illegally. And even then I had to watch it in 2 parts because it was just so terrible. It wasn't like that. Like, I mean, I enjoyed it well enough, but it was, yeah.
I loved it. It was so bad.
So
I will say, Rob, I've watched B a couple times, and it is a movie that I can watch more than once and enjoy it. I don't know if your daughter's into it.
I actually went to the theater with her to see it.
Okay.
Took her to it, and I mean, at this point, who knows if she remembers it,
Yeah.
The kid loses pretty quick, but I don't remember her having any strong opinions anyway. Like, I think was still, especially then at that age where it's just, going to the theater is fun.
Yeah.
As long as you're not putting up news.
Popcorn.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, it entertained her well enough, but it's not like she was like, oh, I'm in love with the franchise. No.
Right.
Well, for the rest of us, we might feel pretty optimistic about.
Y'all asked me my opinion. I made a fart noise and was going to leave it.
I do agree with Rob, though. I mean,
I like your opinion.
That's the thing I worry about is like, it's like, oh, hey, we had the B movie, and then now we're back to the Bayverse and all that kind of thing. So I mean, who knows? We'll see. Like, if they can at least have some semblance of a story, and it's not 5 hours long of nonsense, then it'll be a win.
I think I'm optimistic about 2 safe things. The first safe thing is that the designs don't look like hot trash, right? So far, the designs we've seen look at least okay. Some of them are kind of like, this reminds me of B movie Decepticons, that it's okay. And other ones are like, ooh, that actually looks pretty neat. Okay, I'm cool with that. And number 2 is that we are at least getting, we're not quite sure what the toys are, but we are at least getting some toys that are kind of cleaned up Generations looking versions of the movie characters. We've seen the Cheetor, we've seen the Air Razor. So we know that it exists. We don't exactly know what that toy line is, if that's just going to be like basics, if that's going to be pushed into Generations. But we are getting something a little different than we've gotten before. Like, they look like highly playable, fully transforming figures that are more Generations looking. So I would say those are 2 kind of safe things that we know are happening. The designs aren't terrible, and we are getting some more traditional toys.
I mean, I'm in wholehearted agreement with you on both those points, Anna. I can't say I love all the designs that we've seen so far. Like, the Scourge is sort of like, we'll see. And Battle Trap is not so great. But I don't know, more in general, the aesthetic of this movie with the Transformers and the toys, I'm enjoying far more than I have even with Bumblebee. Well, no, I take it back. The Cybertronian Bumblebee toys and designs are awesome.
I don't agree that those toys are Generation Z, but that's nitpicking at this point.
Air Razor, I think, was our first example, and I think she set a note of being a bit Generation Z. I'll be right back.
There's two different ones. I don't know enough about them to really say one or the other. But like I said, that's just nitpicking at this point.
I mean, I think that,
like, to me, if you're making Generation Z things, that's the legacy animated prowl that's coming. Like, that's making an aesthetic Generation Z.
I feel like in general, though, there's definitely been an evolution of the movie designs from the Bayverse to, you know, what we have now. And like, I think that the step that got taken in Bumblebee is, it seems like that they're continuing down that path of merging, you know, making kind of, I guess, I don't know, more looking, having them look more G1 than what
they're recognizable.
Yes, right.
Even in B, when the Decepticons don't have names, you can be like, I like the red one and I like the blue one. There's two different ones. They're clear. Before that, it's like, oh, there's a gray one and another gray one, and that one's kind of greenish but mostly gray. I'm like, okay.
I like the one that looks like a bunch of shards of metal.
Ooh, which one is that?
I think that's what the B movie designs, especially thinking of the Decepticons, did that a lot of the B movies didn't do, was you got, like, Transformers are not just robots. You know, they like, we talk about, oh, like, such and such a toy doesn't have a lot of kibble, but like, there's kibble that we want to see. Like, Jazz doesn't feel like Jazz unless he's got, like, the car hood. You know, Prowl doesn't feel like Prowl unless he's got the car hood and the you know, the car doors coming off his back a little bit like wings. There's certain aspects of these, you know, that we want to see that make them what we identify as Transformers. Optimus Prime, you know, should have, you know, windshield pecs and a grill abdominal, you know, component. So when you take that away, it's like, yeah, you kind of take away what is the general idea of an aesthetic of what a Transformer should be, and you got that back in the B movie designs, you know, for the main three characters especially, and you know, yeah, even Blitzwing for his jet mode. You know, you could see that he was he was a robot that turned into a jet, and you could tell, you know, even almost what kind of jet he was from just looking at his bot mode kind of thing. And that's something that we lost significantly with the Bay, because it was just, as Rob said, just shards of metal.
I mean, I think the most chance of hope for the movie is probably the most chance I hope we have for the comic, which is just that. I think especially when you're in highly creative works, which movies and art and comics and stories and all that fall into a lot, is sometimes at least new, you get a chance for something different, sometimes a fresh take. And so like that gives a chance that maybe the comic will be good, maybe it'll still suck. You know, who knows? But hey, at least it'll be something different, and that can be interesting, at least, even if it's just something new to bitch about for a few months.
And that's why people like Paul were like wanting the Transformers movie franchise to fail, because they want a whole new direction to come in.
Yep.
And so, you know, I get that sentiment. I don't know if you necessarily need to do that, but you know,
I mean, that's what we want at least I think we want. I think I did several of the shows with a lot of the cast here tonight, the Netflix stuff. Like, please just give it to someone else.
Yeah.
But just try something new and let's see how it is. Because
and it worked.
This is boring.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the Earthspark stuff is?
Yeah.
Okay. I still haven't watched it. I didn't know it existed until last week. I've been really in a cave, so.
I want to finish the movie news talk, but I want to say my news of the year is going to be Earthspark, so I want to get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, that's kind of one of the other big pieces of news for the year was Earthspark. You know, new cartoon. We didn't know what was coming out, and it's now, you know, come out, at least the first 10 episodes, first season. I don't know if it's a full
Ish,
season
yeah.
or not.
Some of the episodes were kind of combined together, but it ended up with like an episode count of about 10. So I checked earlier, and February was when we got the first screens, the first kind of preview pictures of Earthspark. So it has been like the entire year of 2022 was when we went from finding out what it was kind of sort of like, getting story details, starting to see the designs, and getting to see the first season. All kind of happened in the course of a year. And I have to say, like, personally, the only little bit of news out of all of that that I was a little worried about was the art style. Like, when I first saw the robot art style on the faces, it was a little rough. And when I first saw, the size of the child's heads was a little rough. But, once I watched it for a minute, I got used to it. It was fine. But I think otherwise, all year seeing the news come out about that, I was hopeful. It was like, wow, this is actually looking like it's going to be decent. Oh, they're starting with deluxe toys this time. They're going to have a good toy line from the beginning. That's cool. They're actually like integrating a post-war story, but they're going back to targeting towards kids. That's cool. And it worked out. Like, the payoff was actually there. There's even a toy from it in Christian's hands, someone who hasn't watched the whole series yet.
I was moving as soon as it came out. I'm working on it.
I know. You at
All I
least
hear is
watched the first
excuses.
episode. I'm just poking you.
None of you have mentioned the other Transformers cartoon that came out last year, though.
Well,
We were waiting for you.
Before we get to that, let's talk about more Earthspark. So we finally got a cartoon. I guess it's like really high quality. The animation was really high quality. Not to say, I mean, I think the last cartoon was pretty good with Bumblebee and all that, the Cyberverse. But the one thing that I'll say about this Paramount Plus show is it does kind of worry me, the fact that it's on Paramount Plus, that kids aren't really going to experience as much, because I mean, I guess I don't know, like, I don't feel like that there's been as much buzz for that show outside of our Transformers bubble. Whereas I did feel like that with Cyberverse, that like I knew some other people with their kids that they're like, oh, hey, my kids are watching this Cyberverse show on, YouTube. Like, what are some of the good toys for me to get, for my kids? And I haven't heard anyone talk about it outside of, like all of us for this new show.
I didn't know that was only on Paramount Plus. Like,
I thought it was airing on Nickelodeon like later.
There's some chance I'm assuming that it'll air on Nickelodeon.
it is on Nickelodeon. Well,
out.
according to Wikipedia, it's on both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
did it
how
actually
many people
start
still buy
airing on
cable?
Nickelodeon? Because I thought the first episode aired on Nickelodeon, but then
They did air that first episode. I hope they're airing the rest of it, because it would just be a better release strategy. But it would have made sense to hold it until the toys came out. Because when we watched it, or when I watched it with the book club, the toys weren't out. There were no toys out yet of Earthspark.
And that show did spark my interest to get the toys.
Good job.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode and I was like, oh, that's a new character. I can get that one.
Yeah.
And then when Pulse put up Bumblebee and Megatron again yesterday for a little bit of a discounted price, that was weird. I was like, maybe I should get those guys too. And I was like, meh, better not.
I haven't looked at any of the Earthspark toys myself, but my understanding is it's basically Cyberverse again. So if you did not like Cyberverse quality, you will not like Earthspark quality, because it's just looks okay-ish from the front and then just all hollow shell in the back type of thing.
So one really frustrating part is they did one of the first toys of this run. It's going to be a Skywarp toy, and it's literally the same Warrior class Seeker mold that they used in Cyberverse. It's literally the Cyberverse mold again, that has like no leg mobility and decent arm articulation, but no legs.
Did they do a slipstream off of that? Well,
yes, she's
I think
about
I have
all
that,
those.
and that's the only reason I have it, is because I like
because she's
Slipstream.
Slipstream. I have her too. Just for
Is your character collecting Slipstream?
Pretty much.
Yeah. pretty easy one to do.
Yeah, there's like 4 or something.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about that Skywarp is that Skywarp does, and I won't say how, and I won't spoil anything about it. Skywarp does show up in the show and looks nothing like that, and that's like extra frustrating because it's like not only do they reuse a bad toy specifically from another series, they did it in a way that looks nothing like the character that showed up with that name. So of course, it's an airplane, like there's that similarity, but once you get past that, it's not too similar anymore.
They're just homaging the experience that we had to go through in the 80s, where it's like, oh, Ironhide, I want to get Ironhide's toys. Like, this is not Ironhide. Where's his head? Yeah. I mean, the Cyberverse toys and the deluxe Earthspark toys, they are lacking. I mean, Earthspark is a show that I would say is similar to Animated in the sense that it is very stylized in the designs, and Animated toys did a absolutely phenomenal job of translating those 2D animations into amazing 3D toys. The Earthspark toys, I don't think do nearly as good of a job. The Earthspark toys don't
going to have characters. I think it's going to have characters we follow all the way through and grow to love. Like, I think we're going to, as the series goes, we're going to like those core characters more and more and more. And it's possible that the deluxe toys might be the best thing we get. Like, Christian had the deluxe class Twitch that he held up a minute ago. And that toy wasn't good enough to make me want to buy it. Like, I do want to toy that character. I really like her from the show. Like, I really like Twitch, but I don't know. Am I hoping for third party to pick her up or something? I'm not sure what I'm waiting for.
Oh,
but
I wouldn't expect that.
No, I'm kidding. But I don't know what I'm waiting for because I don't think we're going to get a better figure of her, but maybe we will.
I don't know. I have to see it in person to decide if I'm going to pick her up or not. Just seeing the online pictures is not. I'm on the fence, but the online pictures of Megatron especially, I have felt very, very no. He does not look good. He is very much a shell former, and there's
I really want that character too.
Yeah,
because I really like his alt mode, and I was like, oh yeah, I should get that, but no, maybe they'll make a bigger one.
Oh, he needs to be a
After you watch
Voyager.
the series, Christian, you'll like it more. You'll like Megatron even more because he's a cool Megatron.
This Twitch looks fine in the box looking at her, but of course I haven't opened her yet, so I don't know, but looks fine enough.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's bad. It didn't quite grab me. And I also own I have owned all of these Cyberverse Deluxes. Okay, so like I have the experience with this toy line that I know, like when I look at a Cyberverse Deluxe style figure, if it's gonna stay or if it's gonna go, and I felt like she was one that would leave after I got it.
I'll crack her open tomorrow and let you know.
I will say the Bumblebee doesn't look like it's too bad.
He looks pretty good. I watched the review on him. His transformation looks fun.
I maybe need to pay attention to him more because that would be one that I'm maybe not on the fence with, but could be talked into.
The Cyberverse Deluxe Bumblebee was actually really fun.
Yes,
yes,
he is.
So I don't know. Maybe this one is too.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite of the deluxe Cyberverse toys. Actually,
I regret getting rid of that Bumblebee.
I was not going to get him.
The Cyberverse Deluxes were good.
Yeah, I was not going to pick him up, and then Paul had him. And I saw him in Paul's house. And was like, what? Who is that? Like he had him up on a shelf. I'm like, oh, that looks nice. His Stinger, that bright clear blue plastic, really shows off well with the yellow of the Bumblebee toy. So, yeah, more. I liked the deluxes more than I didn't. I like more of them than I did not.
I did too.
I'd say they have like a 70% retention rate for me in terms of ones that I decided to keep versus trying to sell.
That's
probably my biggest gripe with some of them. Oh yeah, I never got Starscream, Prowl, or Soundwave. I didn't get those later ones.
Soundwave wasn't good either. Prowl was pretty good, but Starscream was. My goodness, I felt so guilty for buying that. So bad.
Yeah, Thunder Howl was kind of neat. I mean, more complex transformation than you'd expect, but I don't really enjoy either mold that much. And then, or either mode, and then RC, I don't really enjoy her
Okay, right.
from Cyberverse. Yeah. But yeah, Prime, I just wish he was bigger. Cyberverse, the deluxe Cyberverse Prime, if he was bigger, that'd be an outstanding toy.
Same with Grimlock.
Yes,
Grimlock was
yes.
a bigger character, of course. Yet the deluxe was the same size for everyone. And that's kind of one of the issues with the deluxe line they did for Cyberverse and now for doing for Earthspark is that Megatron is the same size as Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Not a big spoiler telling you that in the cartoon, Bumblebee and Megatron are not the same size, right? Twitch is definitely not the same size as Megatron. She's very little. And her toy is almost as tall as Megatron. So that's a big problem with that toy line. But I guess the reason for me and Phil's little tangent here about the Cyberverse figures is to say that there will at least be some decent toys for Earthspark. You know, those deluxes will at least not feel terrible. If you buy them, they have fun transformations. The plastic feels a little iffy, and you want to watch reviews first, but it's a worthwhile toy line.
I hope what Hasbro recognizes is that this show has and I hope it does, generate this. I feel like so far it has been, but that the show has a bigger fan base than just kids, and therefore we need to make toys for more than just the kids. But you know what? Rescue Bots started first 8 years ago was when Rescue Bots first started. So if you were 5 or 6 when Rescue Bots first came on, you're in high school now, and we haven't got anything, even like a Cyberverse style deluxe of any of the Rescue Bots characters. So
isn't there a Medics
series,
something coming out that is based off of
Medics
Rescue
is
Bots?
coming.
Yeah, but Medics wasn't even one of the first 4 Rescue Bots of.
You're right. Those first 4 definitely need to have Generations toys.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, Hasbro, I think just and I get it. It might be 2 totally different teams, but there just seems to be this big wall between the stuff that's made for the younger audience and the stuff that's made more for collectors.
I just really with Earthspark in this last year, I just really love having a Transformers series with positive moral messages. I know a lot of people laugh about how every 80s cartoon had to have a knowing is half the battle style thing to have positive moral messages. But
sandwiches.
The better version. But these stories in Earthspark, it looked like it was going to have positive family value messages and those types of things, and it delivered. And I was just so happy to see a wholesome Transformers show. Every episode made you walk away feeling that kind of embarrassing, warm, fuzzy smile of oh, they're happy. Good.
I want Earthspark Wheeljack as my dad / uncle. Earthspark Wheeljack is dude, you're awesome. You're just
a fun reaction to have the Transformers.
Yeah. And
so
many of the characters in Earthspark just felt human. The human father in Earthspark comes off is cheesy a little bit, but then he gets his own episode, and it's okay, no, I dig you now, man. You're not, you're still a little bit cheesy and goofy, but I really, really dig the characterization that they gave him. And for all the people that are saying oh, it's woke formers, go fuck yourself. I'm not gonna mince words. Go fuck yourself.
Go away.
That show. If you don't have feelings for these characters and seeing this family that is more reflective of more and more American families these days, that just go fuck yourself, man. This show was just fun. They didn't. They're not preaching any agenda or anything like that. There's stuff in there that you might not agree with or anything, but it's just reflective of what our society looks like these days.
It's warm and positive.
It is. And it's not preachy and shove it down your throat. It's just
not at all.
It's warm and fun and cool and oh, this character is a girl now. We can't. I'm gonna boycott Transformers. Fucking bite me. Sorry, I'm getting irritated because I don't know. I'm just expecting what some
all the good news sprinkled with bad from one place or another.
Yeah.
Just don't listen to the trolls, Phil.
Yeah. tapping my inner Orson there.
Listeners too, like really don't listen to the Trolls of It series. Give it a chance. Watch a few episodes. And, you know, if you are the type of person who can like warm, fuzzy, positive message shows with your robots, you'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it seems like a very good, well done show. So, but Christian, were you saying that there was another Transformers cartoon that occurred? Like,
I still haven't
what is
watched it.
this?
There was another cartoon. It debuted in like May or April, something like that. But BotBots, the cartoon, it finally happened.
Lucas, I thought we were talking about like Transformers news from 2022 that we appreciated. Because I don't think we can talk about BotBots then, because there was no news. It just
There was news that series that there was going to be a new Series 6, not the previous Series 6, but an actual Series 6 that released, and it did release. I have.
Okay, so that's the news we can talk about, because I think the BotBots cartoon news came in 2021, and then the show came, and there's been no news, and there's been nothing since then.
Yeah, my favorite news was that the toys were coming back, and I have them now, and the new molds are not as good as the old ones. But we're talking about the news, and I was very happy about that news.
Well, you did get your like pizza car and all that. Were those?
I did.
Fun?
I have not opened them yet, so I can't. They look a little bit higher quality than some of the newer molds. The pet mob especially is just like not the same aesthetic as before.
Ew.
Like there's a black cat, which would be really great because I have Roxy and she's amazing. But then it just kind of unfolds and there's a human old woman inside. It's just like, that's not a robot in disguise as a cat. That's just something weird.
That's just
It's like
crazy
they
old
got
cat
new
lady.
designers
It's just
on the line, and it's like they didn't get the design aesthetic.
like you just seduced Anna into getting this toy, Lucas. You just, it's like Christian. You just
You just taught me it was a really bizarre fetish.
Okay, I will see if I have an extra because of course I got the whole thing.
Why would you?
So wait, so I'm trying to figure out though. So Anna says she wants more, Transformers that are non-violent and have positive.
I don't have
messages.
Netflix right now, Lucas.
But then
That's the
somehow
thing.
you have
Like,
not
I would have watched it.
The BotBot show.
I don't
Okay.
have Netflix.
You gotta watch the BotBot show.
right now, so I haven't watched it.
Just steal someone else's Netflix.
I wouldn't do that. That's unethical.
you don't gotta watch it, Anna. I
You
will
steal
say
my
this.
comics account all the time. How what? Just borrow my Netflix.
No, I need to watch it. I think I would like it.
Yeah, do it.
It's
really
not
good.
a bad show. It just is like, oh, it's Transformers. Like to me, it's like the GoBots. It's like it's saying that GoBots are transforming. Like, yes, there's characters in this that transform into things, and then they transform back into robots, and that's where the connection between this and Transformers stops.
It is the most pure Transformers series since Beast Wars. Animated, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I disagree.
There's one main human character, and he doesn't even really interact with the robots very much. They kind of make fun of him. It's amazing. There's one other one kind of at the end, but that's spoilers. I won't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. All the characters are nice. They have the same kind of warm, fuzzy messages that you were talking about with Earthspark. They learn to cooperate. They learn to be a family together. It's awesome.
Christian just became the Skip Bayless of Transformers fandom with his ridiculous hot takes that all they're meant to do is just stir up controversy and get people to pay attention because they disagree.
It's a good thing everyone here knows who that
I
is.
think you misinterpreted what Christian meant by pure Transformers series. I think he meant that it focuses just on the Transformers.
Correct.
Not so much that it's the heart of Transformers as a franchise, but really that it was just like it focused on the robot characters.
All right, I can see that. I still stand by my point that you're Skip Bayless of trans fandom.
It's a good thing everyone here knows who that is. So
he's Rick Bayless's brother.
That's a good reference to have, Phil. I'm really glad you made it.
Christian knows who I'm talking about.
I do not.
That's fine. Just because you're not like versed in other subject matter doesn't mean that other of our listeners and watchers are not.
All right, man.
I
right.
honestly
You feel like an
don't
old
remember-
man that's referencing like 1930s movie actors or something. Like any of us have any fucking clue what you're talking about.
Like
'cause we don't.
Skip Bayless is a famous sports pundit that was like just in the news in the last week.
We
and a
only
half.
know of Harry Carey, and that's only because Will Ferrell impersonated him. That's literally it,
Isn't that when a samurai kills himself?
right? Or Kari, I think.
I
I'm
know.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I don't know what any of you are talking about. I like sports enough not enough to have pundits on it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Phil, but it's okay. So there's not a lot of overlap between Transformers fans and, Skip Bayless.
There
fans.
is too.
What I find
no one's a
You
Skip
and I.
Bayless fan.
What I find interesting is that so BotBots came out this year, as did Earthspark, but it's like just a completely different agreement for where the cartoon's airing. And like I still kind of feel like Paramount Plus is gonna at some point is gonna die off. They're gonna give that up. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't follow stocks or anything. And
It is kind of weird now that you bring it up in those terms.
like Hasbro, I feel, has mostly shit the bed with trying to air its cartoons ever since animated. Because like they decided to go make the Hub, which pissed off Cartoon Network, which like ended one of the best cartoons they'd ever had. And then Hub, of course, failed miserably. And then I feel like there was somewhere else they tried to put out a show. Then they did the Machinima stuff, which
the
was
cinema.
Well, they put the 2015 Robots in Disguise back on Cartoon Network, but Cartoon Network's still mad, so it aired at like 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
that's when most 5-year-olds are up, man. I don't know what world you're living in, but
I don't have a 5-year-old.
If you lived in Greenland, it was on at 8 a.m.
But then it's just they've been all over the place trying to figure out where to air their crap, and I think that makes it weird. Well,
I agree with that.
I mean, Paramount Plus, they put all of the Star Trek stuff on Paramount Plus, right? Which makes sense for the geeks, but it's like, well, if you're trying to actually aim the show at kids, and I don't know. I mean, I guess some of these streaming services are trying to build up their kids' content and whatever. It's just, it's hard to actually get to a larger audience, I guess, with, when it's like behind a paywall.
I agree with that.
well, I mean,
To me, Paramount
it's always been behind
having-
a paywall. I mean, it's just whether it was cable TV,
Yeah.
unless it aired on like ABC, CBS, NBC, or Fox, or WB, CW, whatever. But it's
Yeah,
been
what was like Robots in the Skies? The first one was the last one to air on Fox, or did Armada? No, Armada was Cartoon Network.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah. So the first Robots in the Skies, I think, is the last Transformers cartoon that was on basic television.
Do
Um,
they still have cartoons on
22.
basic television? I have no idea.
I don't think so.
I don't think they do anymore. Yeah.
No, we never catch cartoons on basic television. That's true. Huh.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
But I think I think that this is something that I didn't think about leading into today, like in terms of announcements this year, and I think this is an important one, is the relationship between Paramount and Hasbro and the Transformers brand. Because remember, Paramount is who puts out the movies. And so Paramount is basically looking at this and saying, like, listen, we want to build up our content and we want to build up our franchises that will attract viewers. And Paramount has all the Nickelodeon stuff. So I don't enjoy or watch a ton of stuff on Paramount Plus, but probably what's on the most in my house with Paramount Plus is the Nickelodeon stuff. Paw Patrol, SpongeBob, that kind of stuff is out there and on there. And, HBO slash HBO Max, they have the Cartoon Network stuff, but now that's all gone into weird flux with all the, shenanigans going over on at Warner Brothers. So this is a place where Paramount can, really step up in terms of their foothold in regards to families, and Transformers are kind of on a cutting edge with that. I mean, the relationship with the BotBots cartoon and Netflix, that I think was an old contract, and they had to put it out there, and they did, and that's why I don't even think Netflix even put out a statement saying the show's been canceled, because it
was already dead to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fortunate that they didn't pull a Batgirl on the BotBot show and just say, yeah, we know it's done, but we're just gonna take it off in permanent limbo. But I do think it will hopefully bring more media and more attention to the Transformers franchise with the relationship with Paramount, and the fact that we're getting this from a company that is creative first, I think is an important deal, because once Hasbro took this over of making the stuff in house, you had them focused on product first and story second. And we've had this discussion multiple times and said, why is Star Wars more entertaining than Transformers? Because guess what? That started as story first.
So I know we did we have the news, was it this year, where Hasbro had bought that studio? That was last year, right?
It was this year that it was announced that they were trying to sell it, and I can't remember.
You mean it was last year versus 2 years ago?
Yeah. But then
2022 was them saying they were shopping it around, and I don't recall if they actually did sell it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they actually sell it, or I don't remember there being any other news after there was news that they were looking to sell it. So
E1.
Yeah, I thought they were keeping the Allspark Studios portion of it and getting rid of the rest of it.
Oh, okay. That may have been the case. So what other announcements and news do you guys want to discuss from 2022?
That's my big one.
I guess another big thing is there was another Transformers HasLab.
Yeah.
That just happened.
So we know how Anna feels about that she ordered it.
Instant regret.
Yeah, pretty much.
You'll be able to sell it and get your money back. It's just a hassle.
I'm certain that I'll get my money back, and I'll probably make money on it and actually go in and buy a Star Saber I actually like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Desaurus is going to be more up your alley. I mean, he's a space chicken. Anna likes
everything I've
weird.
looked at from the Desaurus, like watching it, watching the pictures, watching the mad color to it, watching the mad add-ons. Everything from it does actually look like something I would enjoy. Whereas I think I went into denial with Star Saber. I think when I was seeing the pictures of Star Saber, I was like, oh, that'll be good. It looks accurate. I'll like it. I don't think I'm in denial of Deathsaurus. I think Deathsaurus I'll actually like. It's just going to be hard to decide between that and the MMC. Which one I actually want to own.
A year from now with Anna saying, oh, I just do not like this thing.
Oh, yeah. It could happen.
It's not space chicken-y enough.
Which I know you'll like.
White Christian?
It at least comes with body horror chair, and I know you'll like that.
I do like body horror chair. I do like the idea of having the 4 Micromasters together. That was like a surprise, right? Like that was a fun little surprise news.
Yeah. Okay, if you want to talk about news, yes, I really liked that news.
There's a little surprise news. At the end of Deathsaurus, they were like, hey, surprise. They weren't a tier or anything, but we're going to do the other 2 Micromasters from the team that we started with Paulie.
When did they announce? Did they announce in 2022 Megatron His Tank? I know we got it in 2022.
I think the whole thing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, I know the results have been met with mixed reviews. Some people really enjoy those toys. Other people are very unhappy with those toys. But that is something that fans have been clamoring for literally decades of Transformers.
If I had been on the show, for the best of show, I would have said that All Striker Bumblebee was my number one. I honestly would have, because that has been the toy I had the most fun with last year. I just had a great time with that toy.
And I need to figure out how to get on Hasbro's payroll like you are, because that's just, come on. Come on.
I hate so many of their toys. I hate so much of it.
But that's why that's why you're the plant. That's why you're the sleeper agent. Where it's just like, no. The second to worst toy we did this year.
Maybe it's justification. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe I'm just trying to justify my cognitive dissonance. Because the toy was expensive. Other people said it was bad. I accidentally didn't cancel my pre-order. So maybe my love for it is just me patching my cognitive dissonance. Being at my patch kit.
What's the syndrome when you fall in love with your kidnappers?
Cake is what it is. It's not a thing.
Well,
if you hadn't
I
asked,
just
I
love
could have told you.
how Anna's like, don't get those generation figures, the third-party figures. What you want to get is a Cyberverse and the G.I. Joe crossovers. That's where it's at.
It brought me joy. I have really loved playing with that toy. So whatever. That's what matters.
I find for me, the only part of that is a 22 positive, or is that the crossover line isn't dead yet because it's done a bunch of interesting stuff. That wasn't interested in that at all. But, as Phil said, a lot of people want to see, transforming G.I. Joe vehicles for a long time. I think it's kind of silly that it hasn't happened earlier, to be honest, even though I don't care about it. But yeah, I'm just hoping we see some other cool stuff with other properties that Hasbro has worked with. Cough, cough, Ninja Turtles. But we'll see. Maybe one day.
It was the payoff of an almost 40-year-old wish to get those two toy lines together.
It just how did it take that long? The fact that you had Star Wars Transformers before you had G.I. Joe Transformers.
It's two lines of Star Wars Transformers.
Yeah. It's just what the hell? Do you guys not like making money? And that was during Rick's, should we just ask Rick, Rick, why did Hasbro not like making money when you worked there?
Because no one cares about G.I. Joe.
Oh,
you have to put Transformers into G.I. Joe to make G.I. Joe sell.
But he worked there at a time when they had the G.I. Joe movies coming out.
And all of them were bad and did not do very well financially.
I get it, but if you did the toys in the lead up to the movie, it would feed on the hype.
G.I. Joe has had a great last couple of years because it has finally gotten another good toy line. After having one good toy line, one of the best toy lines ever in the 80s, it finally has another really solid toy line with that Serpentor that Phil's holding. But this is a G.I. Joe show, so we don't talk about G.I. Joe news.
What we should get is a Battleship Transformers crossover.
It's my favorite movie.
We need a Liam Neeson action figure.
So this isn't a news thing in as much as it did not get announced or anything, but it's a thing that happened that was new. Hasbro Pulse started carrying Target exclusives in addition to Walmart exclusives for Transformers.
They technically made announcements on that. There were emails. Yeah,
but they weren't hey, we're doing Target now, unless they were, in which case I'm glad they did.
Yeah, they said hey, we're going to do store exclusives. We're going to carry some, and you're right. That has been, from a consumer standpoint, very, very helpful because I think my friend found her Minerva. Now I got her in vehicle mode, so I don't want to just throw. I'm sorry, I got her in robot mode, so I don't want to just throw her in the trash. My friend finally, I think, did find her at Walgreens, but if you didn't get her off a Pulse a couple months ago, it seemed like you might be SOL. We're just now seeing red alerts showing up at Walgreens. So the fact that the store exclusives are showing up on Pulse has been very helpful for a lot of folks to be able to grab some of this stuff.
Yep.
I feel like Pulse had a good year as far as being a part of our fandom now. Pulse is just part of it. at this point.
I think they got most of my collecting money last year. I have to run the numbers, but when I last checked, they were vastly in the lead.
Rob totally agrees. He's like, yes.
I maybe
People
bought
watch
2
Pulse
things from
events
Pulse.
now.
Well, that's what I was going to
Past year.
ask is like, were you sitting there thinking like, did I buy anything from Pulse?
That's
Look-
what I was thinking. Black Zarek probably came from there, but I probably ordered that
Yeah.
in 21, not 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I've said it for at least 2 years in a row that I am happy to pay $50 a year to not have to deal with Walmart.
I don't deal with
Happy.
Walmart anyways.
Please, yeah, but you don't buy retail stuff anymore. And I do. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, like
So,
what
they
Crashers.
started the store exclusive thing in 21 with the Walmart stuff, and then they added Target last year, which was
Okay.
very helpful.
Yeah, because what Crashers started to show up at Walmart's a little bit, but again, the easiest way we could have gotten her was through Hasbro Pulse.
Yeah.
And Pulse has started putting limitations on how many you can buy of that stuff. So it's not just overrun by scalpers unless you have multiple
Yeah, you
accounts.
don't get
which-
anything ridiculous.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Anna, you're right. Pulse did have a good year.
I think they did. I think they cemented themselves as part of the collecting culture for at least Transformers. Like, people get together and watch it now and talk about it, and
They need to work
you
on their
know,
return
people
policy.
hype.
Other than
They
that,
do
they're
need to
good.
work on their return policy is not great.
It's very garbage. But other than that, I think they're fine.
You know who had a bad year? Talked about this
Super
last
7?
week. Super 7.
Super 7.
Are they
But they
out of
did
business?
put
Are they
a
going out of
really
business now?
To be
cool-
clear,
There was
Just from a Transformers perspective, Super 7 had a bad year.
They did have one cool piece of news that I think came out this year, and the figure came out this year. Or did it? Did you manage
Yeah.
to get Unicron this year, Rob?
yes. Wait, no.
That was in
No,
2022.
that was last.
Where
I
did
think it
you
was-
get it?
I
I'm
think it
waiting
was
on my
last-
pre-order.
I got it from Super 7 directly.
Ah, that's probably why.
Because it was announced last year, right?
I don't remember.
2022.
I'm pretty sure I got it in 2022, but I can't remember.
I think you did. I think you posted about it during
It was like
2022.
just under the wire kind of thing.
So that is a really cool piece of news, just to have them producing something that has been part of Transformers culture, talking about that prototype for a bazillion freaking years. And now there's a version of it you can own that looks just
That is
like
pretty
that
cool.
prototype.
It's wonderfully stupid. It's one of those, like, I keep hoping someday some third party is going to get ballsy enough to, like, produce a run that looks kind of like that prototype figure. Under, like, make up some other, throwaway name or whatever, do
I'd
a
buy
run of
that.
it. A lot of people would, but I think it's one of those. I feel it's like G.I. Joe toys, where
Buy it ironically.
like an X amount of people would buy it so hardcore in a split second, but then literally no one after that. Like, there's no like trickling
Yeah.
sales, or it's just 1,000,000% and then immediate drop off. And which again is how I kind of feel like G.I. Joe toys are.
I buy it for the reason Anna cited and the reason I have the Super 7 one on order. Like, it's just been part of it for so long. It's like, please, can I have this? Boop, there it is.
He's smaller than I thought he'd be.
He's actually supersized, or giant. That's the label they use. It says it on the back. You can giant, 6
Ooh,
inches,
giant.
same as Devastator. Like, he's taller than their typical reaction line, which is like all uniform height.
The
Good for
3
you,
and
again.
3/4, right? Their other ones are 3 3/4 inch, right?
Yeah, but these are the same size because Devastator, funnily enough, is the only other one I've bought. But he's the same size as like Red Soundwave.
Does that Super 7 Unicron have more articulation than the original toy would have?
No, it actually, well, TBD. I don't really know, but like the whole point of the reaction line is just the 5 points of articulation style, so they generally don't have much.
No, I'm basically saying the original Unicron prototype was
Wonderful
Not.
brick.
going to move a lot. Not so much a brick, just an orb.
So was that Robeson trailer? Was that 2022?
It was.
So there
Along
you
with the
go.
baby version, that's the same price as
little
the
rubber
original
sun.
version.
Yep.
But what we
That's
know
some
from
weird
people
stuff.
who bought it, they got charged in 2023, and that's not news they've been happy about.
Right.
I don't know how
I
that's
paid
being
how
kept to be
much for a
unhappy about.
trailer?
They asked for it.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Well,
just that reminder of I did
You
what
want me to
again?
pay
Oh
for
God,
that
why?
thing
I'm
I
going to
bought?
pay for the thing that I ordered? What?
I feel like
Ridiculous.
no one seems to be happy about that. Like, has there been anyone that's like, oh boy, this trailer? You know, I feel like that.
It's a bunch of sick people that need help.
Yeah,
Like if
that
you are
people
mad,
hate buying it.
especially when you have a like hundreds of dollars thing finally charge you should be excited. If
Right.
not, why are you buying that crap? Certain people.
I just really want someone to post on Reddit or YouTube or something the video of the kid who gets the trailer for their birthday this year. Like not the Optimus Prime, not the cab, but like grandma and grandpa were like crazy rich uncle, like, I'm gonna get this kid the coolest transformer out there. It's Optimus Prime. And like they open up and it's just a flipping trailer.
I don't think that scenario exists.
I'm sure like it's very unlikely. But I would think there's one instance of someone who
Dads being excited and buying it as an excuse and saying it's for their kid, and then be like, well, if you don't really like it, I guess I'll put it on my shelf and we can just leave it there
and pray it doesn't fall.
It's like when Opie bought Andy the baseball glove for his birthday. What it is.
Wait, you're making fun of me for referencing Skip Bayless and you're throwing that out there?
I did. It was very intentional.
Good job.
Y'all are weird.
It's an Andy Griffith
Boomer.
Show reference. All right.
Now I get it because it's based near where I live.
We should get it because that show is wholesome and wonderful.
It was wholesome and
Also
wonderful.
way before my
Sure.
time. I'm 10 years younger than the rest of you.
It was way before my
Way
time.
Yeah, I was
before
gonna
all
say,
of
it's way
our
before
times
all of
too,
our
Christian. Thank
times.
you very much.
Yeah, we're not
I've
that
still
old.
watched a lot of Andy Griffith growing up somehow. I watched a lot of
My
Matlock
mother, who
too.
was born in the 40s, called that show too old.
It's wonderful.
Who was born in the 40s?
My mother was born in the 40s. She was significantly older than most people's moms.
All right.
Trivia facts.
There you go.
Which one of the cast members had the oldest mother?
So, any other? Yeah.
So I was going to throw out a news thing, and the reason I've been playing with Skylinks tonight is partially because he's been on my list of things I need to take off the shelf and see if I actually still like, X months later. But also, like, one thing that has kind of stood out to me in the news is I feel like we're going to be getting more commanders. Like, I feel like from the leak list and news we're getting, it's going to be a time when commanders start being a little more common. Because I feel like, I was thinking, like, is it 3 coming so far?
3?
There's
What's the
2
third
so
one?
far. I believe there'll be a third
What's the
because
third
I think they're going to do a G2 Minosaur, so Motormaster has to come out again.
Oh, okay.
Did we get 3 last year or just 2? Was it just Jetfire, Black, and Rodimus?
Jetfire and Motormaster.
Oh, Motormaster. And was Rodimus not last year?
Rodimus was 2021. You got him in 2022, but he came out in 2021.
I did get him because he was bargain price in 2022.
Darn good toy to buy for a bargain.
Absolutely worth the price I paid for it. I just feel like there's a trend towards using those bigger price points to release characters that are actually slightly smaller toys, but with more parts, with more moving parts. Rodimus style or Hot Rod style. Hot Rod being an almost deluxe released at Voyager, which when that happened like 2 years ago, we were like, ooh, this is a big deal. Now we're kind of getting used to it,
How it
with the
goes.
little iron hides and all that stuff. So I feel like Commander is something that might start being part of our toy line on the regular instead of this, like, once in a while a new Commander guy comes out. I think it's going to be like our leaders are now Commanders, considering that we're getting Ultra Magnus as a Commander since he's such a core basic character.
Did we have any Titan announcements from Hasbro for this year?
Not for this year yet. The rumor is that it's Nemesis.
Yeah, there's that really strong Nemesis rumor.
I think it's supposed to be a repaint or something new, or TBD.
Something new.
New, yeah.
I think we're finally back to the world of New York Toy Fair being a big place for announcements. Yeah. So, that the Titans typically were reserved for the New York Toy Fair, displays.
Rob, there actually was a bit of Titan news. It wasn't an announcement, but you know how the designers have more interaction with the fans on Instagram now? So they talk back if you ask questions. We have a definitive, we've heard you, we know what you want on Titan Tidal Wave.
So it's on
the
rotation. I mean, that could take 3 or 4 years to materialize, but
yeah, it could. But hey,
this will be worth waiting for.
They're like, yes, that is a thing. Yes,
I feel like that and a new Metroplex G1 Metroplex are like the biggest thing I hear.
Well, I was gonna say, like, unless they redo more Titans, like, there's not a lot left. Like, after they do the Nemesis, it's like, what else are they gonna do?
And I could sit here all day coming up with stuff.
Yeah.
I think you just got to get a little bit creative. You got to step a little outside. Like, look at any other base former, like Overlord. You could do him Titan size. Why not? He's supposed to be Scorponok sized.
Yeah.
Except Grandis. Yeah, go crazy. Like there's all kinds of stuff, especially once you get into Victory. And even then, you can just.
If you want to do Titan class combiners, I'm good with that too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Combiner box sets.
Yes, I could see that.
I think I did the math on that, and the Stunicons add up to approximately a Titan. I don't remember. I can't do it right now, but I think I did it previously, and it was like within 5 or 10.
They're really
about
close.
180.
It's really close to a Titan.
25 per limb and 80 for the commander.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's easy math to do. Yeah, 180. So.
That's another example, though, right? Like the last Titan combiner before was a really big combiner, and now it's smaller but more complicated.
I'd rather have that, truly.
Right.
Oh, me too. Dinosaur definitely looks like a better product than Predaking was, for sure. Devastator, I'm a little iffy on because I really like that thing, but I know it hasn't aged wonderfully.
No, but it still looks good on the shelf.
I was trying to think of toy news that legit surprised me last year, and I keep coming up with all these like little tiny things, right? Like there was nothing like that just like floored me and said, "Wow, this is going to change my collection." It was just little things like, "Oh, we're getting another Volcanicus." I didn't think that was going to happen, but look at this weird pre-tool core class.
I mean, I think Tarn was a little bit surprising. I guess we got him in Cyberverse.
Another little surprise.
I guess it's not as surprising just because we got. I mean, it wasn't Tarn, but it was like a Tarn-like character in Cyberverse. But yeah, to get an actual official Tarn, it looks like it's pretty good too. So.
That was a pretty big surprise, yeah. Even though it was like a little big surprise, right? It's just like one toy and it's a pretty normal toy, but it was a surprise to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan this year of the continued character selection that they've had. I mean, we got, I think he's probably announced the year before, but we got G-Axis, which a lot of folks said was their favorites or one of their favorites of 2022. He's not, exactly what, he's supposed to look like, but, Galaxy Shuttle,
Shuttle's real cool.
Yeah.
If that toy was larger, I would have went in on it, but that's needed him bigger. I guess I'm a size queen, but just wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
I was going to say that was another legit surprise. Like just, it came out of nowhere and suddenly it was there and it's actually quite good.
Yeah, because what did we have, like leaks like 2 or 3 days ahead of him like actually
Yeah, it
showing
was
up on
close.
Walmart? Yeah. So, and I was just like, wait, what? Is this for real? Is this some weird custom?
I really liked the Walmart Beasts wave. I mean, those toys ended up being kind of iffy. They're not the best ones ever. Buzzsaw, Nightprowler, and Sandstorm, Rob. But I was glad they existed because Buzzsaw and Nightprowler are like two of my dudes.
Well, hopefully you didn't buy them right away and you've been able to pick them up on clearance recently.
Oh, I absolutely bought them right away. I was very excited. I still like them a lot. They're not as good as they could have been, but I still like them a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting, like that Hasbro has not focused as much on some of the G1 guys. I mean, I guess we've, supplemented with like the Studio Series, but, the Legacy line and whatever the next, was it Evolution or whatever they call it, it seems like they've really been trying to, kind of mix up some of the character selection and give us more from other, Armada and some other waves as well. Prime.
Smokescreen.
Yeah, that's been
from
nice.
Armada Hot
Pleasant
Shot,
surprise.
please. Give it to me. Put it in my hands.
Well,
You
I'm just
gave me
hoping that
Nightprowler. Give me Smokescreen.
I'm just hoping and it feels like they did. They've caught on to some of the G1 fatigue. So like again and again and again. Like on the one hand, people are like, "Cool, it's a better version. I'm happy to have a better version," but you're just not excited about it.
Right.
Like you'll go out and you'll buy it and you'll be like, "Cool, I'm glad I have this," but you weren't like, "Whoa," So, and I'm sure also if they're a designer, at some point, you're like, "Gotta make another goddamn Prime. Give me a break. Let me do something different." So.
A fun, unexpected toy this year, although I didn't get it, and it wasn't fun for some of the people in the cast. But the Holiday Prime, that is legit fun.
That was fun. That was a surprise announcement. I didn't see that coming.
And that was a surprise, yeah. And they actually got it out for the holidays this time.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, that was a good feat on their part.
It got to be a Christmas decoration in my house. That was cool. And now that I look at the toy, I'm like, ooh, maybe it wasn't quite a $55 toy, but it was a fun Christmas decoration. It's gonna remain one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's
Christian,
it's pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to ask you. We haven't mentioned third party at all because, again, that's only toys. What else are they going to do? Do you still buy any third party at all?
On occasion.
Were you excited about Transform and Roll Out doing the Galaxy Force?
I had a discussion with Serge about this Monday, earlier in the week, and I was like, there's a really small piece of me that wants to buy that because Cybertron's my deal.
Exactly.
But most of me is like, the 2005 Cybertron Prime doesn't need to be improved. It's already very incredible.
It's one of the few Unicron Trilogy toys I still have.
Yeah.
So you like it, but you're like, I'm still good. You're set.
Yes, but I'm very excited, and I cannot wait to get the Fans Hobby Power Links Optimus. So
I don't remember when that one was announced, if I try to play by the rules, but I think their Fans Hobby Galvatron was definitely a recent announcement, although not surprising, right?
I think they teased it in November, December at TFCon or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
That time is a blur for me. I can't.
Are you going to be getting that?
I think so.
Yeah, the Fans Hobby, they just teased Wing Saber the other day. They teased earlier in 2022. They teased Tidal Wave,
Overload as well,
and Overload. Yeah. So they're taking those Armada toys that had all the add-ons. Yeah, and I'm on board for it.
What I find interesting about Fans Hobby's approach here is that most other companies start small and then go big. And Fans Hobby, they're not starting or whatever, but they kind of went into the Unicron Trilogy stuff with, let's do the big boys first. And that's kind of, they've been doing some larger toys. Like they're not making deluxe size stuff. And they haven't, Fans Hobby in general hasn't made a ton of deluxe size stuff anyways. Even like you go back to like when they did the, whatever the flame starters are. Like even those were big chunky bots, like the smallest stuff they've done are the Headmaster Juniors from Master Force. At least I think that's the smallest stuff they've done. But
Yeah,
It's just interesting
that's the only ones they've really done that are the smaller ones, right?
that I can think of. Everything else they do is just here's a big honking chunk of plastic, and we're just going to do more of those.
Yeah.
So, it's cool for
just for
Unicron
comparison's sake. We've got their.
Oh, you have it on hand. Cool.
Yeah, and then. So here's their Night Beat and their Grotesque, and there's a little bit of a size difference there. I'm guessing
the problem is they almost look the same because you're just looking at height, but like, yeah, one of them is like 4 times as much.
There's a huge size difference there, yeah.
Right.
That shows
kind of sucks.
Although I think they scale like to what they should be.
You hear that from Christian, that Night Beat kind of sucks. Aw.
Night Beat, I feel like if I drop him, I'd worry he'd break. Grotesque, I feel like if I drop him, he would shatter my toe.
He'd be lucky if that Night Beat broke.
Oh.
It'd be a gift.
Oh.
I hate that mold so much.
I don't love it,
good.
but I don't hate it.
I hate it.
I bought the Headmaster Juniors, but they're placeholders. I'm just waiting for something better.
Well, speaking of the something better, was 2022 when X-Transbots just said, like, we're going to make every single G1 character that hasn't been released by someone else yet?
I think that was 2021.
Okay.
And they said all of it was going to come out in 2022. That dude is
and it didn't? Wow, what a shock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some stuff did come out for what it's worth, but like, I at one point, because I was just curious and I spent 15 minutes, I went through Show Z, and I did this like early, or I did it in 21. I went through and I looked at all the crap he announced, and I went through Show Z, like the estimated delivery dates they had given Show Z, and I was like, they're going to put out like 8 figures a month. you know, which Keith will do big runs. Like when they do the Junkions, like the whole 6 come out at once, you know, when they do stuff that's like repaints and recolors and stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot of parts sharing though.
Exactly.
Like Runabout and Runamuck, I imagine will come out pretty.
They'll probably come out together. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if. And they got some other stuff like that. You know, like where they're doing slightly different versions of stuff, and they'll come out together.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're gonna get a bunch of Hasbro Junkions too. That's one thing that was kind of exciting, like the new Evolution line that. Some of that weaponizer functionality, I guess, is coming to Junkions, right?
I finally canceled all those the other day. Made me so happy to finally cancel
no! That's like some of the stuff I'm most excited about. Somehow these like weird fossilizer crap is your cup of tea, but you don't like Junkions?
Correct. You understand me now. I'm glad you finally understand me better, Fred.
I think he's saying he doesn't understand you. He thought he had you.
What?
He had thought he had
I
you
would
figured
never
out,
imagine it.
and now you've ruined his world again.
Accomplishment of the
Lucas,
year
I'm with you. I'm on board for these Junkions, and far, far more on board for the Junkions than I am with that. What's his name? Freezer, that Terracon that went on sale yesterday from the movie. That looks like it's the same play pattern, but it's like so bad of a toy they won't even show you what his alt mode looks like.
They did show it.
Did they finally?
Yeah. Okay. It's imagine if instead of standing like this, you laid down.
Yeah. I saw the pictures, but I didn't see them like through what I thought was official channels.
That's my understanding. Is like, I think it was actually on Instagram. I didn't view it on Instagram. I think it was screen capped from Instagram.
Yeah.
Hi, Paul.
Did Paul actually join?
What lurking?
Hey. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
He's just the voice in the machine.
How was your 2022, Paul? Anything we missed on the show?
I don't think so. I think you guys covered it.
Did you listen to enough of the show for you to actually comment sincerely on that?
No comment.
Did you at least smash that like?
I thought that's illegal if you are part of the cast.
You gotta smash that like.
Oh, I didn't know we were upvoting our own content. That's great. Now I know. Yeah, why
That's how you
not?
make the big time, friend. That's how you make the big time.
That is true. That's
His own videos.
he
I've never
definitely
watched a,
does.
a Mr. Beast. Like I know
I'm so
he's
ashamed.
the most
I'm
popular.
ashamed I even know who he is.
I only know him because
apparently
other
he's
people
from North
mention.
Carolina too.
Say,
I
just
didn't
ask
know
your
that.
kids.
I always felt like, although YouTube allows it, there's got to be some sort of monitoring. Like this account likes its own videos. You know, like it's just something they don't tell anyone. But like if you're behind the scenes, you can know. It's like a pride thing. You ever seen someone in a Transformer group like their own post?
Yes, it's weird.
That's what it feels like, liking our own videos.
Yeah, we don't use the official account to like it. You can like it on your own account.
Right. There you go. Yeah, Paul. Just use all the accounts.
In principle, it's even worse because
Just
it's more people than one. This is not a topic for this show. I don't think.
No, we've had our topic for the show. We talked about last
right.
year
Yeah.
more.
Thanks for joining us an hour and 45 minutes in here, Paul.
Hey, I was cleaning my house. That's what this year has been about for me. Organizing, cleaning, moving. You know, that's what
Sounds
happens
healthy.
when you have a bunch of toys. Those parts of your life become more than trivial.
Mm-hmm.
It was this day 5 years ago that I posted on Facebook. I finally got all my toys on the shelves at my new house.
Wow, really?
Yay! Congratulations.
How long was that after you'd moved into that house?
It was like 6-7 months or something like that,
Okay. That feels
Not a bad turnaround.
right.
or maybe longer. Maybe it was longer. I don't know. I said in the post, I just don't remember. It was just I managed to scroll Facebook for 3 minutes today, and it was like memory thing. It's like, oh, neat.
Yeah,
I
I haven't
mine will go
even
up hopefully
touched
soon.
my collection. It's just sitting in the basement. I could since I'm mobile, I could show you guys and embarrass myself, but I don't
Let
think
me see
you
if
can
I
do
can
that.
Mine's
actually
sitting
get you on
above me.
camera. You're still like, for some reason, I was trying to do select all.
Well, there's 5 of us, or 5 of
6.
you, and then I show you on screen.
Yeah, for some reason, it's not selecting your.
He can see you, Paul.
His camera's really close to his face anyway. You might go up his nose.
There we
because
go.
because it's
I
a
think
phone.
I got it now.
I
Oh,
know.
except for it's the like weird vertical thing here going on.
Yeah, I know.
There
Oh, did you
go.
vertical all 6 of us?
There.
Oh, that's
There.
way.
Is that better?
That's better.
I
I
Yeah.
can only see his icon on my tablet.
I got him.
Better that way.
So,
Paul
all
isn't-
right, but I think your
Good.
background I think might be blurry.
It
Good.
is.
So
Well,
yeah.
what was the toy of the year?
That was last week.
That was
That was
last
last
week.
week.
Man.
This is Transformers
Last
news.
week was the toy
this
of the year.
week.
It was the best news of
We
the
were
year.
talking about our favorite news of the year.
So I think the
it's
official
definitely
top
Freezer.
toy of 2022 was this Minosaur, right? Is that what we said?
Official?
Yeah, Lucas and I
two
both
of
had
us-
as our top
yeah.
toy.
Yeah,
Who
Phil and I
here
picked
thinks
it.
they're official? Jeez. Big
So
head
Minosaur's
much.
not even finished.
I'm pretty sure the top toy was that mammoth fossilizer that came with Lightfoot. Pretty sure that's what it was.
That was the best name of the year.
What's the name
That
of
is the best name of the year.
I don't even remember.
Dominus.
Bastard Dominus.
My son did make a cool usage of some of his parts on hauler here, just making a hauler like this Texas style, steer horned beast of a transformer.
You should post that to TF Liberated. Be like, here's my new custom. You'd get like 18 likes.
Are you
This is my Devastator.
Check out my
I'm
new
laying
character,
shit on figures and call you that.
Big Green Convoy. It's a spin on the base figure. What do you think?
It's when the soul of Big Convoy takes over Devastator and turns him into a good guy.
Wow, that's a great idea, Phil. You're so inventive.
I love it.
Write comics. So wholesome.
That is the next run. It's so comic.
Wholesome in this economy?
We need some new memes
Oh
for
my
teenage
goodness.
Right, yeah,
know.
there you go.
Well, I mean, I think that's something we're flagrantly lacking.
Maybe memes could end.
Christian, how's your
They
new
weren't there
place?
Bill.
It's nice. I like it.
Looks good.
How's your new place?
I just spent an hour cleaning it. It's the most time I've had to clean it in 2 weeks. So,
I had to do that today. I still got boxes coming in, so
oh my God, kill me.
yeah.
Wait, how do
Me
you still
together.
boxes coming
We'll
in?
have suicide pact.
Christian,
Up on
please
the
explain how you
show,
have
guys.
boxes coming in.
I did not get a truck that was large enough for my apartment, so there's still stuff in my apartment.
Okay. So are
We
we
did
done
not-
kind of talking about the top?
We're done.
I think we're
topics of
done with
2026?
this.
Yeah,
we're done.
Honestly.
We're
I
done with the
guess
show.
are we
We can
pretty
end
much done here? So
Goodbye.
anything
Thank you for
else
watching
before
TFYLP.
we? All right. Well, thank you
We'll see you
guys for
next
joining
week.
me tonight. Jeez, you sound so
A
excited.
few years back,
Book Club is
we would have called
Unicron
this
6.
after hours content.
There you go.
Book Club is Unicron 6 and OP 25.
Wait, was
Finally, the
no one's top news of
freaking
2022 the return of BotCon? Was that anyone's top news?
That happened.
That was
Oh,
like
yeah.
2019 news.
Anyways, good night,
That
That was
was
everybody.
the
the
greatest
Well,
news
news
they,
of the
came
they
year.
last
announced
year.
announced it before, but yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But it actually happened. That's
It did
the
happen.
phenomenal piece.
it did happen.
It did happen.
So there you go.
But we are
Oh,
finally finishing the Unicron comics this coming week. I'm so happy.
I was gonna mention, didn't BotCon say that they're not making toys anymore or something? Was that
Yeah,
Did they?
or Night Shining or something? I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
not making their own stuff anymore. They're just gonna get stuff from.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a whole nother show.
Who knows?
Mhm.
Holy cow. I didn't even notice. I didn't know that happened. Yeah, that's another show.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Zaldron. Thanks to Ron. Thanks to Catherine. Thanks to who else do we have? Josh.
Jay Holla was in there a little bit.
Jay Hollow. Oh yeah. Jay Hollow was in there earlier. So thank you guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.